Hello everyone. I welcome you for today's lecture. That is the lecture number 6. It is about the gully development, classification, and control measures. Now, this is the pictorial diagram of the gully. That is the large gully, and it is enlarged because of the concentrated runoff flow. Here you can observe the gully. Now, what is the gully and what are the different stages of gully development that we have completed in the yesterday's lecture? Now, today we will discuss about the classification of gully. What are the different classes of the gully? Now, there are different classes of the gully based on the different parameters. For example, here first, the gully classification is based on the shape of the gully, right? Based on the shape of the gully, according to the cross-sectional area of the gullies are classified as U-shaped gullies and V-shaped gullies. Now, based on the state of the gully, according to the state of the gully, there are two classes of the gully. The first one is the active gullies and the second one is the inactive gullies. Now, third classification is based on the dimensions of the gully. According to the dimensions, there are three classes of the gully. The first one is the small gullies, second one is the medium gullies, and the third one is the large gullies. Now, according to this shape, the first type is that is the U-shaped gullies. Now, why the U-shaped gullies are called as the U-shaped gullies? It is because of their cross-sectional area. That is the cross-sectional area through which there is the flow of concentrated runoff. And because of that cross-section of the gully section is in the shape of U, and that is why these gullies are called as the U-shaped gullies. Now, where these U-shaped gullies get formed, generally these gullies found in the alluvial plains, where surface and subsurface soils are easily erodible. The areas of the alluvial plains where the soil strata is quite easy to get eroded, and that is why the section of the gully gets developed in the U shape, and because of that U shape, the gullies are called as the U-shaped gullies. And the speciality of these gullies, that is these are formed in the alluvial plains. For example, like Ganga basin. Now, according to this shape, the second class of the gully is that the V-shaped gullies. Now, whenever the flow of concentrated runoff is flowing over the more resistant strata, then the cross section of the gully it develops in the V shape. The cross section of the runoff flow uh, develops the gully in the V shape, and that is why the gullies are called as the V-shaped gullies. The V-shaped gullies are often developed where the subsoils are tough, right? The subsoils are tough, that is, the soils are resistant or more resistant for the erosion. In such areas, the gullies develops in the V shape. The subsoils are tough enough to resist the rapid cutting of the soil by runoff, right? Because as these soils are very tough for the erosion to get erode, that is why the soils does not get easily erode, as the strata is tough and it resists the soil resist the cutting of the soil by the action of concentrated runoff, and as the bottom is more and more tough, and that is why the erosion at the bottom of the gully is less, and so the shape get developed in the V shape. As resistance to erosion increases with depth, the width of the cut decreases accordingly and results in development of V-shaped gullies, right? How the V shape is get developed, as there is the more tough strata, and as the depth increases, but the width of the cut decreases. Why the width of the cut decreases? Because of the tough strata, and that is why the cross section get develops into the V shape, and that is why the because of that V shape, the gullies are called as the V-shaped gullies, right? U-shaped gullies are get developed into the alluvial plains, right? In the alluvial plains because of the smooth soil, because of the smooth soils, and V-shaped gullies get developed into the mountainous or hilly areas as there is tough soil, as there is tough soils for the with having more resistance for erosion. Now, gully classification based on the state of the gully. According to the state of the gully, there are two classes of the gullies. The first one is the active gullies, and the second one is the inactive gullies. Now, what is the active gullies and inactive gullies? The active gullies, that is the gullies whose dimensions get enlarged. The gullies whose dimensions enlarges with time, right? With the time, there is the enlargement of the gully. That is the what is the enlargement? Enlargement means with time there is the more deepening and more widening of the gully with time to time or with year to year, and that is why as the dimensions are enlarging, the gullies are referred as the active gullies. The size enlargement is based on the soil characteristics. Now the rate of size enlargement or the rate of soil erosion is based on the soil characteristics, land use, and volume of the runoff passing through the gully. On these three parameters, that is the first one is the soil characteristics, and then second one is the land use, third one is the volume of runoff. On these three parameters, the enlargement rate of the gully is dependent. The gullies found in plain areas, the active gullies found in the plain areas. Now, second one is the inactive gullies. This classification is according to the state of the gully. According to the state of the gully, the second class is the inactive gullies. Inactive gullies means which gullies? The gullies in which there is no appreciable change, no appreciable change with time. That is, there is no appreciable change in the dimensions of the gully, or there is no enlargement of the gully dimensions with time. Such gullies are called as the inactive gullies, right? These gullies found in rocky areas. Rocky areas. Why it founds in the rocky areas? Because of the there is more tough and erosion resistant soil, and that is why as that soil resist the soil erosion, the gully founds are the inactive. Are inactive because the rocks are resistant to erosion by the runoff flow, right? Active gullies, the gullies whose dimensions enlarge with time, and inactive gullies means those gullies whose dimension does not enlarge with time. Now, gully classification based on the dimensions of the gully. Now, the classification based on the dimensions of the gully, there are three classes of the gully. First one is the small gullies, second one is the medium size gullies, and the third one is the large size gullies. Now, this classification is based on the dimensions, but nowhere we can mention the dimension of the gully, but the size is mentioned according to the control measures, or how the gullies can be controlled. As in the small size gullies, the gullies can be controlled by the farm implements. By farm implements means that can be easily crossed by the farm implements, and can also be smoothened. Smoothened means can also be reclaimed or can also be controlled by plowing and other land development operations, and by stabilizing them through vegetation. Right, the gullies which can be crossed by the farm implements or can be controlled or smoothened or reclaimed by the some plowing operations or some other land development operations. Such gullies are called as the small size gullies. Now, what are the medium gullies? Medium gullies cannot be easily crossed by the farm implements, right? Small gullies can be crossed by the farm implements, but the medium sized gullies cannot be crossed by the farm implements. They can be controlled by terracing, right? Small size gullies can be controlled by the some plowing operation or some land development operations, but the medium sized gullies are controlled by terracing, right? Terracing means that is the bench terracing or plowing operations, but some limited provisions. In medium gullies, the sides are stabilized by promoting vegetative growth on them. How the sides, that is the sloping sides of the medium sized gullies, are controlled by promoting vegetative growth over the sloping surfaces. Now, large size gullies. Large size gullies are those gullies that cannot be reclaimed, right? The gullies which we cannot reclaim, that is by plowing or any other land development operation or by terracing. The gullies cannot be reclaimed, or it is not economically feasible to reclaim the gullies. For controlling these gullies, tree plantation is done as an effective measure, right? In such areas, only tree plantation can be undertaken to avoid or to restrict the further erosion, right? Further erosion can be restricted by tree plantation and by growing vegetative cover, or by healing with vegetative cover, but these gullies cannot be reclaimed. Only the further erosion rate can be controlled. Right? This is all about the gully classification. First, the gully classification based on the shape of gully. In that, U-shaped gullies. Second one is the V-shaped gullies. Then the gully classification based on the state of the gully. In that, first is the active gullies. Second one is the inactive gullies. Active gullies are means that is the those gullies whose dimension enlarges with time. These are the active gullies. And inactive gullies means the gullies which dimensions does not enlarge with time. That gullies are called as the inactive gullies. Then according to the dimensions, small size gully, medium size gully, and the large size gully. Small size gully means can be crossed by the farm implements. Medium size gullies cannot be crossed by farm implements but can be controlled with terracing. And large size gullies, that is cannot be reclaimed. That is the we cannot reclaim them or make it plain land. Huh? Only the further erosion rate is can be controlled by adapting some tree plantation or by growing some vegetative cover.